It's the middle of summer here in the south, but I turned off my air conditioning so that you wouldn't have to hear the white noise in the background. That is how you know I care about you guys, because if I'm not dead by the end of this video, uh, I'll be very lucky. So today's story is about my horrifying experience, my genuinely traumatizing experience with a Judgement house. Now, if you're lucky enough not to know what a Judgement house is, you know how on Halloween some places do fun things like haunted houses, trick-or-treating, a bunch of different things people do on Halloween. In very religious areas, sometimes we like to do a Judgement house, unfortunately, and that's kind of like a haunted house, except they try to scare the shit out of you with the promise of eternal damnation. And, when I was this idea was pitched to me by some friends my age who were clearly kind of scared for my soul because I've grown up in a Bible Belt. This is the type of place where everyone is religious. You can't really avoid it. And as someone who, from the very get-go, came from a house that was pretty secular and bought into those subscriptions, or, subscribed to those beliefs, I believe, would be a better way to say it. I did have a lot of well-meaning friends who, having grown up in this Bible Belt, were extremely worried about my soul. And as looking back at how we were all kids, I can understand that because there is a lot of fear-mongering and I bought into it a few times. Now in life, I would consider myself agnostic, leaning towards atheist, but at the time, it's hard not to buy into this stuff. So my friends would often invite me to these different church get-togethers, and many times, not having much to do as a homeschool child, I was like, hell yeah, let's get together, let's even if I have to deal with the religious aspect of it, I wanna join together with my friends. I wanna go on adventures. And if you know me at all, I am a horror nerd. There's nothing I love more than horror, and especially at Halloween time, if you promise me a haunted house, there is no way that I can say no. So even though going into this as a 13, 14-year-old, I knew that there was going to be a religious aspect to it, I was like, yes, please, I want to go to this. And that was not the best decision, but I certainly learned my lesson about these church events through it. So yeah, a Judgement house. I have some steps here that I'm going to be going through. I wrote down kind of bullet points because though I enjoy to ramble through my stories, I'd rather make certain that I get every point to y'all as it happened. So, and a lot happened this night. So, starting out, the first thing that happened that night that was a bit of an indicator of how the night was going to go was, alright, you see my name, Cassian Eubanks, and you'd think, well, Cassian Eubanks is my now preferred name. My birth name is Cassia Eubanks, and you would think that it wouldn't be as confusing to people as it is. But, oh my god, I have heard a variety of pronunciations through my life. And, the first sort of thing that went wrong that night is that we were all sitting in a lobby. We'd all eaten. It was kind of, I guess, more like a cafeteria type area. We were all sitting down, and our names were being called one by one for us to go back and start the experience and join our group. Well, I nearly got in trouble. Like, the announcer was beginning to get angry at me because he kept saying my name again and again, but not once did my brain, it took a long time for me to realize, oh my god, I'm the one being called out. I'm the one who's holding things up, because tell me why, and I remember this to this day because it was stuck in my mind. It was actually, you'll find that it was not the worst that my name has ever been butchered, because you'll see tonight a lot of things happened on that night. But he was calling Carissa Ubanki. Now, tell me, if you are a child named Cassia Eubanks, I didn't even know to respond to Carissa Ubanki, but eventually, being someone who grew up having my name mispronounced again and again, I eventually was like, oh my god, I'm holding up everything, and so I run off and I join the group and I get stink eyes, and it's fine. That's just how it's gotta be. So, we're all in this group. The way that it goes is like a traditional haunted house. You are in a group and you go from room to room for them to kind of show you their story. And the story in question that night was a story of a mother and a daughter. The mother had always been an atheist, did not buy into Christianity, and the daughter, she was raised that way, but through her social network at school, she learned about Christ and decided to join the church. So the mother and the daughter had a bit of this back and forth of her wanting her mother to join her in her beliefs, and the mother being like, no, this just is not for me. Like, okay, that's kind of silly to me. You do you, but I'm not doing it, honey. So, what winds up happening is that soon after the daughter becomes religious and begins to join the church, at a get-together the mother and daughter are having at a cafe, there is a freak accident where a car runs into the cafe and kills a whole bunch of people. And this was acted out. Like, the actors were good, I'll give them that. They were good at what they were doing, but it was horrifying. Like, we were a group of kids, there was crying and screaming, not just from the actors, but from the kids in my group. I had a friend at the time who was leaned onto my arm, bawling. Just bawling into my arm over how upset she was at what she was experiencing, what she was seeing. So, that was fun. It was fun. That's obviously sarcasm. So, the mother and the daughter die. Some other people die. That will come into play later. But after they have passed away in this freak accident, mowed down by a car in front of all of us, well, it was more like, obviously they didn't show the actual crash, but they showed the aftermath. So there was a lot of fake dead people, blood, a car rammed into tables, knocked over. They went out of their way to really get this into our heads as children. Trust me, we all remember it. So after that, we are then taken to the heavenly gates. The gates of heaven, which if they have a more accurate name, I cannot remember it. I don't buy into any of this, so I don't know terminology, but we go to the gates where they decide the fate of your soul. So, I bet you can see where this goes. The daughter, who had newly become a Christian, she is welcomed with open arms. Heaven is hers. She's just so happy to be dead and able to go to heaven, so they let her through the gates, and so begins her eternal bliss. Then comes the mother, and she goes to hell. She goes straight to the fiery pits, and there's a lot of fighting and back and forth of, no, I need to go with my daughter. And the daughter, let me tell you, the daughter did not give a fuck. She did not care. She was like, goodbye, mother. Enjoy fire. Heaven is mine, and I told you, I'm going to heaven. I told you, I give you a chance. I told you to come to church with me, mama. So, okay, she goes to heaven, her mother is sent to burn. And it had this entire thing where, like, these minions of hell would come up and drag the mother away. They also showed a side story of a boy who died in this crash, who was not a relevant character, but they had the whole back and forth of, I'm a good person, but did you believe in Jesus, though? I never, well, off to hell with ya. Burn forever. Shoulda believed us. Shoulda believed in Jesus. So yeah, a very nice dude. It was expressed to us explicitly that this was a good man. This was a good kid. He was like 21. But because he did not believe in Jesus, it was to the fire with him, too. So yeah, there's that. Here is where it gets, Like, at this point, it had been traumatic. It was building and building and building. The trauma, there were layers to the trauma. And a lot of the horror in this also just comes from, I mean, obviously this display was horrific, and it's enough that it scared me for a long time. I remember after seeing this display, I would cry and have these, like, guilt-stricken, almost panic attacks, because I come from a family where many important members of my family are strict atheists. While I'm a bit more lenient in my beliefs, I don't really have many beliefs. I have very important people in my life who are like, there is no God. I'm not buying into any of that shit. It's all a scam. Religion is a farce. Which, oh, excuse me, I hope you couldn't hear my stomach. Which now I'm fine with, like, but at that time, I would be stuck in bed having these nightmares. I was haunted by images of this member of my family who I loved so dearly, I couldn't stop thinking about them burning alive forever, which is just Jesus. Excuse me my inappropriate exclamations, but yeah, it scared the shit out of me, and that was the purpose. But okay, so let's go on to the next layer of trauma now. Obviously, a couple of us were stragglers, like me, my sister. We had been brought into this, but the thing to realize is that half of these kids, the majority of these kids in this group, were already a part of this church. They were already religious. But I guess even when you're religious and you subscribe to it and your family has brought you into this, you need to be reminded that if you step out of line, you will be set on fire. Because, like, what happened next was that after we see the daughter go up to heaven, and a couple other heathens get sent down into the pit, the, man began to call out all of our names. So again, this name, that friend's name, Carissa, and I'm like, alright, here I go, it's Carissa. That's me. And I step forward, and then after he's called out all of our names, he's like, you go to hell! So, yeah, we got sent to hell. And let me explain to you what this experience of hell was like. After we have been damned eternally by this middle-aged white man, we are all shuffled down this extremely narrow staircase leading straight down from the room. And as we descend, a lot of the kids still crying because everything that we were experiencing, even if you were someone who, like, even the people in my group that wholly subscribed to this, that you believe in God or you go to hell, even those that agreed with what was being shown, were stricken with how horrific it was for this mother to be burned and separated from her daughter. Like, it, no matter what your belief system, it was awful. But we're all crying, is my point. We're sniffling, huddled together, going down this cramped staircase, and the farther down we go, the warmer it gets. They had the heaters on full blast down in hell. And okay, finally we arrive in hell, and there are, first of all, people chained to the wall. So there's that. That's something that a bunch of 14-year-olds are being exposed to. People are chained to the wall, crying, shaking, begging to be freed, begging us to be freed. They were, like, jumping at us, and there's the guy who's playing Satan, because of course there's gotta be Satan in hell, and he is walking around tormenting these people, and then tormenting us. So, okay, after a while of that, and honestly, for me, at that point, my brain went into a whole other space, because, okay, yeah, later on, this caused me to question things and become anxious, but at the time, after what I'd already experienced at this point, my brain was just flat out like, this is some bullshit. So I'm just like, kind of like, alright, we're in hell. I already know that this is just... And my stomach again. I'm gonna have to get me some food after this. But I've been in enough of these situations to just know that this is only going to get more ridiculous. So I kind of was just accepting what was being thrown at me as it happened, having experience with these kind of religious groups. But the most uncomfortable thing is that all of us kids are packed down in there, and it's so hot. They had the heat so high, and yeah, maybe it was October, maybe it was around Halloween time, but it's the South. We don't get cold until November, so it was awful. We were sweating. We were packed in like sardines in this little area, having a grown man taunt us and other grown people in bondage. So there was that, and so that it was just very uncomfortable. But weirdly enough, it was not the most uncomfortable section part of this production, because after that, oh wait, there was a mistake. We all get to go to heaven. Yay! Up to heaven. So we all go through a side door out of hell, and we are led to heaven. And let me explain heaven to you, because heaven made me prefer hell. It was this how do I even... All these people, all these adults were just standing around in white robes. There was kind of... we were standing below a giant stage where a lot of them were pretending to be on clouds, a lot of them were just standing around all happy, but they were all just standing around in white robes welcoming us. And then, after we are introduced to this heavenly place and we're watching all of the going-ons of heaven, this man starts going down the row. I believe he was supposed to be a stand-in for Jesus, I'm assuming. He had a beard, so that's what I'm assuming. So this man in this robe, he goes down the line of children and makes each of us hug him. There wasn't really room. The thing about these kind of situations, I've been in many of these growing up where I have the option to say, hell no, don't touch me, don't do that, I don't like that. But as a child in that situation, there's a pressure where you don't realize, even if you're told, when you see all of your friends being embraced and held by this man you don't know, it feels, it's scary. The idea, especially when you're in a vulnerable place where you don't know if these people are right or wrong or what's going on. Like, maybe they're right, maybe they're really trying to teach you something, but there's this pressure that if you fuck up, if you talk back, you're in the lion's den. You're gonna get eaten alive. And I've seen the way these people can turn on you when you aren't receptive to what they're serving you. And so I hugged this man because that's the way it's going. I had to hug this man I'd never seen before, and so did my little sister, who, if I was 14, was like 11. So yeah, I just went around hugging all these kids. And it's like one of those kind of, it's meant to be comforting, but hugs are only comforting when they're coming from people that you actually know and trust, but one of those prolonged, holding you in his arms type of hugs. So that was fun. And again, the thing that gets me is, I've told you all of this. I've told you, excuse me again, trying to get hiccups. I've told you this entire story, but this is not the most offensive part of the night. At that point, the production was done, and it's like, alright, you've seen what hell is. You'd think, alright kids, get out of here, you're all pissing yourselves, leave. No, this was not the end of the night. After the production was done, our group was filtered into a classroom. We were all made to sit down, and again, it's me and my 11-year-old little sister, and I obviously have I have feelings of protectiveness over her, especially in situations like this. Now, my little sister, she is a fireball, and it's not that she particularly needs my protection, but as being 3 years older than her, it's just a natural thing where, in a situation like this, I don't want her being yanked off and cornered somewhere alone. She's like 11, like, damn, I don't want that. But that's exactly what wound up happening, because in this classroom, we're all sat down, and we're all discussing what we just witnessed and talking it through, and then we are commanded to close our eyes. And we all do that. And we are told that if we have not been saved, we should raise our hands. And my dumbass baby little self raises my hand, and when I open my eyes, we're instructed to open our eyes. They're like, alright, everyone who raised their hand, open your eyes and get out the door. We have to save you. So, yeah, me and my little sister, because again, we come from a relatively secular household. A few other people from school that I wouldn't have expected. But that's the thing about Alabama, like, you don't know most people's like religious beliefs, because if you're not in the majority, you keep your damn mouth shut, because if you are not in the majority, if you are someone who is not religious, you will be eaten alive. And so even those, like, even people that may for all I know be, I almost said pescatarian, I was trying to mention that one religion, pastafarianism, you know what I'm saying, not pescatarian, oh my god. No matter what you believe, atheist, anything, everyone bullshits, at least growing up. I mean, now that we're adults, there's a bit less of caring, but as teenagers and children, you bullshit. You're like, yes, Jesus, yes, don't hurt me. So, I saw a few people in my grade that I was like, wow, you haven't been saved? What the hell? You haven't been saved? What the? But okay, we're all taken out of the classroom, me and my sister, and then we are all separated. We are all taken away from each other and made to sit one-on-one with these strangers who want to discuss with us why we have not been saved. So, my little sister is taken away from me. All of my other friends are taken away, and my anxious ass, because oh my god, my anxiety at that point was so bad, I'm made to sit down with this old woman, and she was ancient. Like, she was, and I don't mean to be mean, but this is what stuck out to my child brain. I remember looking at her and going, well, you're not far from seeing Jesus yourself. Jeez, I guess you'd know about it. Like, that's what my child brain provided me with when I looked at this woman, because I was terrified of her. Because, I mean, I had many reasons to be terrified, but the thing I remember that stuck out to me the most is, I mentioned earlier, my name, it gets mispronounced all the damn time, and already through this night, I'd gotten used to being called Carissa Ubanky, so I thought, we're gonna keep with that. Now, this woman, she looks through my file, because I guess they have files on us or whatever, and, she says, oh, Kasaya. I've never heard that name. That's so gorgeous. And I did not correct her. I was like, yeah, yep, I'm Kasaya. And it felt, at the time, I think, letting her call me Kasaya was kind of a defense mechanism of kind of stepping out of my own experience, my own identity in that moment. Like, Kasaya's here. I don't know where the hell Cassie is, but Kasaya is who's dealing with this shit. So yeah, we sit, we are saved. She discusses it with me why I have not been saved. I think they offered for us to get saved right then and there. Oh my god, I think I did. I think I've been saved. Because I know damn well, like, I don't have actual vivid memories of what being saved entailed, but if that woman, that 100-year-old woman, looked me in the eyes and said, would you like to get saved tonight? I can't imagine my anxious preteen ass saying anything other than yes ma'am, so I think I've been saved. Oh, that's cool. I guess if hell exists, I'm not going there. Well, I'm gay, so maybe I am. I don't know. It's kind of all confusing. I don't know exactly what sin would be the one to send me to hell, because, like, I'm gay, but I'm kind of a good person, but I've learned that being a good person doesn't matter, and, everybody here really hates gay people, but also, like, divorce rates and stuff, whatever, anyways. So, yeah, I was saved, I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty sure my little sister was saved, because if there's one person who's more anxious than me, it's my little sister, which is why it was upsetting to me to be taken away from her because when we were younger, I was the one who spoke for her when we were in these situations. We were both homeschooled. She had trouble dealing with people. So, like, I know that if they were like, I know she could barely speak. I can just imagine that she was like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And so we were all saved. Hooray. And I remember that I have one joke that I tell my friends that I'm kind of glad to be able to share with you all, because it was the one thing from that night that just tickles me and that makes me happy to say, and it's just a joke. I always tell them, so that night, Carissa went to hell, Cassiah was saved, and Cassia got the fuck out of there. And that's that's basically it. That's the way I look at it. Like, they didn't even care enough about me to pronounce my name, but they put me through all of this shit, and that's just the way it goes. Like, I have lived here my entire life, and this is not even a proper introduction to the stuff that I have seen, heard, and been a part of when it comes to the inner workings of the Bible Belt and the kind of genuinely there's abuse that goes on even in public schooling, and I'm gonna cover it because this has been such a big part of my life, and even now sometimes it has to be a part of my life because the people around me, the social persecution that would come with being open about my beliefs, even as an adult, doesn't feel worth it. It doesn't feel, it's just not, it's not great. So I have more stories to tell, and I'll be telling them soon. That much I promise. Next, I'll probably be covering that time that I was homeschooled over a teacher who hated lesbians. Yes, that's not an exaggeration. It's not an exaggeration. And I will tell you about it because I still hate this woman, and if she ever comes across my channel, I hope she hears that, because she was abusive. And you know what? No, I'm not getting into it. This is already probably pretty long. I haven't looked at how long it is. It is 27 minutes. Alright, nope. Okay, yeah, alright. That's that. I will talk more about things later. For now, thank you for listening, and I hope that this was entertaining. And goodbye, everybody. I will see you on YouTube.